Hello and welcome to Console Shock, Retro and Modern Gaming Chat with me, Trev, and as always, Stu. Hi, Stu.
Hello, Trev. Yeah, I'm good. Good.
How are you doing on this fine Wednesday evening?
Well, it's good, isn't it? We've got a long weekend.
Yeah, we have, thanks to old Liz.
Celebrate the Jubilee. Yeah.
Lizzie Windsor came through for us, celebrating her not dying anniversary, which is always good.
Yeah,
I suppose any kind of a birthday is a not dying celebration, isn't it? Really, so that's always good.
I'm pretty chuffed. Pretty chuffed. But
well, being from Northern Ireland,
it stays off, so that's good.
Being from Northern Ireland, obviously, where she's very popular, that must have extra sort of resonance for you. The Queen's Jubilee, right? Am I right there?
Yeah, well, obviously in Northern Ireland they're going to put up extra red, white, and blue more than usual. I think
so. Yeah, I should think so. The Catholics will probably join in on that. I'm sure. Just for one day, right? You could just put all that aside and just say,
exactly.
Liz is all right. You know, we can't. We already talked about Northern Ireland on the last episode randomly, didn't we? So
let's not look at a Northern Ireland.
Couldn't help it, you know.
Podcast.
Exactly. Well, I guess to quickly warm up then, what have you been playing lately?
Well,
Stu?
no, I finished Gears of War now. So
the first one,
the remaster. So eventually finished that.
Any good?
And yeah, no, I thought it was a smashing game. Yeah, really impressed with it. And I'd recommend it's about 6 or 7 years old now. So
that's weird, isn't it? That's been out a while, isn't it? That remaster.
It has, yeah.
Yeah, there'll be a remaster of that soon. Remaster of the remaster. Yeah, I enjoyed it. We talked about it again last time. I enjoyed playing the PC version, which was, a slightly better version than the 360 with all the extra PC dooberies you had access to. But I need to play the other two. At the moment, I'm playing Uncharted 4. Very, very late to the party. But yeah, it's pretty good so far. It looks stunning. It's hard to believe it's a PS4 game. Have you ever played the Uncharted games, Stu?
I do. Played Uncharted 2. I really enjoyed that. Number 4. I think I got 2/3 of the way through, then didn't play it for about 3 years, and I sort of went back to it. I was a little bit confused with all the controls, to be fair, but
that's the danger, isn't it? Really, you end up playing something else and you lose it. Yeah. I'm just trying to power through it. I think I'm on chapter 18. I think there's 22 in total. I might try that. There's that extra like DLC sort of campaign with the female characters from the series, the Lost Chapters or something. I can't remember what it's called. I might try that afterwards. But really enjoying it so far. But we're not actually going to be talking about sort of modern-ish consoles. So the PS4 is an older console now, and we're going to go further back. And it's been a while, but we haven't had a guest on for a little while, but we have got one today. And it is someone we've had on before. If anyone out there familiar with the Retro Hour, our guest has been obviously a prominent person on that. But probably the biggest thing that we want to talk about with this particular guest is a certain magazine. We have talked about it before, but there's been a lot of developments lately since the magazine launched. And we're going to be talking about Amiga Addict. And once again, we welcome Ravi Abbott. Thanks for jumping on, Ravi.
Hey, good to speak with you guys again. It's been a year. I can't believe it. And I do play some modern gaming as well. So I've been playing a bit of Rust on the PC and Tropico as well. I love Tropico.
Tropicos,
yeah.
It's like a sort of isn't it a management, like a sim, almost like a Sim City or a Civilization?
Yeah, kind of like a dictator management kind of game.
Dictator simulation.
Keep every faction happy or assassinate people and stuff. It's really good fun.
Oh wow! I think I got it when they did one of the games with gold months gone by. I think one of the Xbox 360 versions dropped. I don't know if that's any as good as the PC. Probably a bit more fiddly, as it's kind of a mouse. Is it a mouse and a keyboard kind of thing? Normally?
Yeah, it's kind of sit at your computer for hours and grind through a level pretty much.
That's funny. It's always used to be a genre of game that I used to play all the time. That was my favourite sort of game, was sort of SimCity, Settlers, or Age of Empires. Sit there for hours, and then once you died, you did it all again and try to do things differently. But it's sort of a series of games I just don't play anymore.
Yeah, I love that. Really and then I've got into survival games recently. Well, for the past like 8 years, but they're a bit more intense, and you just kind of like farm and hide away, and then meet some random people. But I love the interaction of just meeting someone online that you've never met before.
Can't they just suddenly kill you?
Yeah. I'm a right wimp in it. I just run away.
Well, it keeps you alive.
Yeah,
it works.
But I'll be worried that I'd almost sort of make not make friends with someone, but get in a bit of alliance, and then I'm just running one direction. He's followed me. He'll just shoot me and steal everything.
Yeah, never trust anyone in those games.
Oh man.
It's just training for when it happens in real life, when the inevitable apocalypse occurs. Like
we're all back to caveman.
We're all back to caveman. That's what it's like. Every man for himself. It's the reality that we'll have to face. But hopefully that won't happen for a while, a few months at least. I'm hoping. But so Ravi, obviously we had you on before. It was actually bloody hell. It was the 11th of December, 2020. It was more than a year and a half ago, basically, and that was when you were kind of just I think you had just launched Amiga Addict, or you were just about to, and now I can see you've already hit your 12th issue. So I mean, we're going to talk more about developments in terms of getting it out there to more people, but what's it been like this past year? What sort of the highlights for you over the sort of the run that you've had on it so far?
It's survived. That's the key. We're up to 12 issues, and for a commercial Amiga mag to kind of survive that long, we've got this like binder which we can put all of the magazines in, and we've actually filled one of the binders up, which is a big kind of achievement for us.
That's great.
It's been kind of mad because we've launched another mag as well.
Really?
Wow.
Which is
cool. Not Atari ST Addict.
Not yet.
That'd be a waste of money.
Not ST Addict or Amstrad Addict, but Pixel Addict, which is another one that's joined. So it's kind of like it's becoming a bit of a publishing house, and that's a multi-format magazine, kind of lifestyle one, and that's more done with like, instead of a core team, you've just got collaborative people writing for it, because it's mixed systems. It's like everybody's got their different opinion on the Spectrum and Amstrad and stuff like that.
Actually, Stu, you won't want to look at the latest issue of that, because there's a certain home computer.
I'm looking at on there. I knew a guy. He was an ST addict.
Right.
Anyway, but it looks good. It looks like a cracking magazine.
Yeah, it was because we had a lot of content in Amiga Addict where people were like, "Well, I can't put this in because this is an Amiga." So it's like, why don't we go for something else?
But I imagine it's one of those things. Is once you've sort of done one magazine, then want to do another one, is a lot of your fixed costs will be the same. It's just a case of sort of putting sort of the effort and sort of moving things around to sort of make two magazines, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there any plans for any more magazines then, or was that just a spur of the moment thing? We thought, look, we've got all this content that we kind of want to write. Let's see if we can branch it out, or are you just going to be just playing it by ear at this point?
Well, I think it's mainly down to our editor. He's absolutely crazy. He was just like, I'm going to launch another one. But the main thing with Amiga Addict is we're kind of like a small little family. So I was originally, when I spoke to you before, I was the deputy editor. But now I've switched roles. So I'm the community editor / roving reporter. And Pixels at Dawn, Ian Griffiths is now the deputy editor, because he was more suited to the role. He had more time to do stuff, but also he's very much in the kind of editorial area. Like he sleeps with a dictionary, he's really like into getting the correct wordage and proofing it and everything. And I was rubbish at that. So he'd end up doing most of that stuff anyway. So we've put him in that role, and he's doing a fantastic job. So he does the big features at the moment, like the 6-page ones and stuff, and the big interviews. And I do a column called Amiga Discovery, which is basically about new things in the Amiga scenes. I did one about streaming last time. I'm doing one about Morphos at the moment, and just trying to open people up to new stuff. And we've also got Paul Monahan, who's joined the team now, and he's absolute magazine expert. Like, he works for Sega Mania as well, or Sega Powered, I think.
Oh yeah, the new Sega magazine. Yeah.
Yeah, so he works for that as well, and he's like literally taken now less shifts at work to work on the magazines because he's being able to work on them and earn through that. And for him, it's his kind of dream to work on a mag. So having someone that passionate on a games mag is pretty awesome. So we've got like a core team now, and we've got James who does the reviews, and we also we got a younger lad in to help us as well, and he's doing an absolutely cracking job. Basically, helping with the bottleneck, which is the kind of layouts and design of the magazine.
Oh, cool. Was he actually born when the Amiga came out, or
we've had to train him? I think he had a lesson on D-Paint the other day.
So... Oh, really?
Oh, man.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's really cute. Is he like, what is this weird old computer that you guys are writing a magazine about? Is that kind of
At the beginning he was, but I think he's getting it more and more. And and like, I think we were producing it originally on Amigas, which was doing a big bottleneck. Now we've kind of diversified a bit. We're still, a lot of Amiga stuff's like, it's designed on Amiga, a lot of it, but just for speed, we're doing it on PCs and other machines as well.
Well, I'm pretty sure, Amiga format wasn't made on an Amiga back in the day. It would have been a Mac. So yeah, you're not betraying anything really, using a more capable platform to make.
Yeah, and then it means Josh, the new guy, doesn't have to like learn.
All
Wordsworth, the old Amiga programs. Yeah.
I can imagine it would be quite difficult to almost get the files and get them to the printer if they're all done on an Amiga. I've got no experience of that, but
we had
what happens when you turn up with a sort of a floppy disk to your printing firm and
I think we have to output it in the right format, but a lot of it was done like on the Amiga 4000. But we had like, of course, crazy upgrades. So that had a gig of RAM in there, but even running with a gig of RAM, it would still get filled up quite quickly with the like high resolutions.
Yeah.
And then we have one of those X5000s as well, which is like a new fancy kind of Amiga. And that would also get filled up, and we'd end up having to just export it anyway on PC.
Might as well just give up, just like give in. Look, we need to do this on the PC. We want to get this magazine out there, in the first place, right? So we'll just have to bite the bullet. Yeah, that's completely understandable. Like I said, it was probably what was happening back in the day anyway. I don't think really any of the Amiga mags, apart from the fanzines, were being made on Amigas anyway. Although the Amigas did have very good desktop publishing, and I don't know what was the main desktop publishing application back in the day.
Oh God,
PageStream or something, or
it must have been PageStream, or like I think Final Writer or like Final Calc was one, because Amiga always struggled with the Office suites.
Yes,
and that kind of desktop publishing, that was where it really lacked, kind of stuff. The Office suites.
Yeah, I need to dig out an issue of Amiga Shopper, and maybe there'll be something in there. I remember using all I used sort of Office application wise on the Amiga was Wordsworth. I think
that's what I used.
Yeah. You sort of put it in like awful, like mega high resolution mode, so it's like flickery as hell, but it made it really nice to type, to see a nice page, and then just like do homework and stuff on that. But I didn't have a printer, so I had to take it to a mate's house to put on a floppy
probably
disk.
Save it in like rich text format, so it would at least work in
.txt.
That's it.
Some weird Wordsworth format. So I mean, also, you've hit 12 issues now. Is there a favorite sort of feature that you've had in the run so far?
Oh, I'm going to have to get them out and have a look. I'd say my favorite feature, to be honest, at the moment is issue 11, which is the A500 Mini, and having that on the front page, and the first big kind of in-depth look at it as well.
Timing as well, isn't it? For the mag to launch, obviously in 2020, and then for that to be announced and come out. I mean, that's perfect for you guys, isn't it? To have that boost.
It's insane because we launched it as kind of like a lockdown project, and we didn't think all this stuff was going to kind of come out. And then, we were in the shops, and that was the first issue. Was the that was on the shelves at the shops was the A500 Mini one.
Oh, that's brilliant. Have you spoken to the actual Amiga 500 Mini guys, the retro Retro Games Limited? Yeah,
they provided us with a A500 Mini. They also talked to us, gave us updates, and you know what, we were quite objective in it as well. We weren't, we said if this is rubbish, we're going to give it a proper review and say that it's rubbish. But it turned out to be pretty good, and I think that's really good that people don't seem to get upset. They understand that it's press and it's reviewing something.
Yeah, I mean, also you need people to be able to trust your opinions, and obviously it's the integrity. You need that integrity, don't you, when you review these things, and obviously you guys have that. I mean, what are your personal thoughts on, for those that haven't picked up the magazine, what are your sort of thoughts on the Amiga 500 Mini? Do you like it? Do you have one?
I don't have one personally because I've got like 7 Amigas. I don't need any more, but I probably will pick one up at one point. It's inevitable, isn't it? It looks like they've done it well. I remember for years there's a company called At Games that were producing these Mega Drives, and
they're awful.
They were awful. The sound was always messed up on them, and to get this to come out the first time with like hardly any updates and work well is pretty impressive for me.
I think it's an example of actually how to do the software and actually how to produce a mini console really, really well. And like probably all of us on this podcast, I've watched plenty of reviews of it, and they've all been very, very positive and things like that. And you can put your own games onto it. They're not, you don't have to sort of hack it or anything like that. And I think it's such a capable piece of kit. And there are even people sort of putting Workbench onto it. And
I went to an Amiga event and I saw someone running PlayStation games on it the other day.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And I was like, they've hacked it to that level. My God.
Yeah. I mean, I think me and Trevor sort of talked in the past about, I don't personally understand. Well, they'll get one console and all they want to do is play other games on it from another console and hack things. And I can see it's quite a challenge to do, but I don't quite get the Amiga Mini and put lots of Amiga games on there and enjoy the experience. But getting it to play PlayStation, maybe not the.
When you
it was quite nice. I met the guys from Retro Games Limited. I've met them before, but I met them at Swag, which was the Amiga event, and they said they've not even hit the American market yet, and it's already doing really well. And they estimated the amount of units they've sold is around 80,000, which is
that's pretty good.
Pretty good,
What is potentially quite niche when you think about it. When you think of like the PlayStation Classic, obviously that got botched to all get out, didn't it, with the awful emulation issues that it had. Although people have kind of fixed it subsequently by hacking it. That the appeal of that is possibly a lot bigger than what an Amiga would be. Well, I think it is, isn't it? I mean, the PS1 sold 100 million units in its lifetime. The brand is still going to this day, whereas the Amigas are kind of a very not insignificant, but as much smaller cohort of people in their sort of 30s and 40s. Who are really the people that would be interested and a lot of it is mainly in Europe and the UK and Germany and Poland, and to sell that many, it just goes to show this is something we've been waiting for, really, because the Amiga itself is very difficult, isn't it, to get going in a way. I mean, we're the same as you, Ravi. We talked about this before, obviously, when you were on. I've got actually. I'm not sure you've got an Amiga, have you, at the moment? We always kind of on a running joke.
No, I always want to get on. It's my favourite machine. I'm so sort of fond of it and things like that. But it's just without the right screen, without taking up all the space it will take.
Yeah. It's so complex.
And
WHD load, getting that all set up with all the games.
That's why this mini Amiga is so good, because it's the easiest Amiga to use. You know, just fire it up and you go. You know,
and it looks great.
And it's got a great selection of games on there. And from the sound of it, it's sort of semi-easy to get more games onto it, and it comes with the mouse and then the CD32 controller, which makes it a real sort of good package, really.
I think they would have sold more with Lemmings and Sensible Soccer on it, but I think probably licensing, you know. But they had a decent selection for what they got, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's my favorite Amiga games. Some of them are on there, but a lot of them aren't. But again, Sensible Soccer, I think Codemasters own that, so I'm not sure how happy they'd be to give that up. And I think it's the same with some others. Like Lemmings is Sony now, so they're not going to be like sympathetic to a niche 80s and 90s home computer platform and give that up easily either. So there's a bit of a conundrum there, but it's easy enough for you to to get the sort of the ADF files, or to use the WHD load slave files and have those loaded up in there. I mean, I'm waiting for a Maxi to come out.
Yeah, we spoke to them and they seem to say that it does seem financially viable, but it's going to be 3/4 of the size, so it's like
that makes sense.
The A500 is huge.
Yes,
reduce it down a bit, and that might even have because when they were speaking, they're working with Calanta, and they're saying the Amiga rights are kind of all settled now, but they weren't at that time, so they couldn't call it the Amiga. But this one might actually be Amiga branded, and have a way to go into Workbench on the initial start, like when you had the C64 Maxi. You could go into the OS.
Yeah.
You can go to basic, or you could load it up into the other way. So it might be like that, Yeah.
Yeah. We sort of speculated about that, didn't we, Stu, when we talked about the A500 Mini? What would they do in terms of a Maxi? Would they just take an Amiga 600 and just make a full size Amiga 600? But probably not that iconic computer look, is it, that the 500 has?
No, I mean, I think the issue is that if you actually have an Amiga 500 in front of you, it's a big piece of kit.
Oh yeah,
it really is. It's a big machine, and I think in reality that could potentially put people off, and be a huge cost in that. So I think it should be, in my opinion, an Amiga Mini, but sort of inspired by. So it's got a full size keyboard. That's really what we want. Something like the what was that Raspberry Pi 400? It should almost be sort of that shape.
Yeah,
actually have the keyboard on, but be inspired by the Amiga, and that's sort of the route. If I was them, I'd go down rather than doing because they're big pieces of kit.
Packaging alone would cost a bit, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, talking about the global situation now is to get those all the way over from China. You wouldn't be able to fit too many of those into a container.
No.
Yeah. And so the smaller they get it, the more they can get over in one go, and then the more of those that we can get. And that's the most important thing, rather than making a one-for-one recreation of the Amiga 500.
That's kind of a huge thing that affected us as well. So when we started the magazine, it was the start of COVID, and we started it just at that Christmas where the postage went absolutely insane everywhere. And, there were huge backlogs of I don't know if you remember, stuff was left in warehouses and they didn't have enough staff to sort everything out.
Yeah.
So that was mad. We also had leaving the EU happening, and that meant a lot of custom changes where we had to integrate the custom IDs and barcodes and stuff into the magazine for the regions that we were sending it out to. And then we had the price of papers increased as well. So with just paper alone, we've had an increase in that, and that was tough to kind of ride. So we've had everything against us and kind of succeeded, which is pretty cool and shows the resilience of the magazine.
Oh yeah, and just print media in general, really. Everyone was saying, when everything's going on the internet, no one buys magazines, but they never really stopped. have they? Magazines. There's always been a computer section in the shops. Obviously, there hasn't been Amiga mags. We're going to go into how that's now changed.
I think the last thing that was left was a Micro Mart, which had like one little column in it that was like Amiga, and I would just buy it for that. And then that was Sven Harvey that was doing that, and I think that's ended now.
I used to get my Micro Mart. It was a very cheap sort of black and white newsprint type thing, wasn't it? Or at least it was when I was getting it. I don't know if it got any better over the years, but that was just a nice little cheap sort of computer magazine. Like Computer Express, New Computer Express was another one in the 90s that was like that. But yeah, in terms of Amiga, I think the last magazine would have been Amiga Active. Wasn't that the one that was in 2001-ish time?
Yeah, so that was formed of old CU Amiga staff.
Yes.
Amiga Active, and that went. Oh God, I think it was 2001 or like 99 or something like that. I can't quite remember, but that died sadly as well.
Yeah, I don't think it had more than a couple of years, I think, worth of issues. Because it was right at the very end, wasn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, it had a cover CD as well and stuff. It was quite well developed, you know.
Actually, looking at it, I've looked it up. It started in October 99 and finished in November 2001. So they got 26 issues, which is pretty good. I don't remember ever seeing it in a newsagent. I don't know if that was because I wasn't really paying much attention to the Amiga in 2001, sort of time. So, or maybe didn't get that much of a distribution. But I mean, there's obviously the other Amiga magazine that's in Germany.
Amiga Future, and I used to be I think we all used to be subscribers to that as well. So
it was the last man standing, wasn't it? But basically for the last 20-something years, yeah. Do you guys have like a relationship with them? Have you had any kind of collaboration?
We have it's quite nice actually. It's a cross advertising one.
Oh, cool!
So, like they advertise in us, we'll advertise in them, and it's like it doesn't cost us anything on both counts, and it like benefits each other, And we're kind of like we don't do that much next generation Amiga content. Like we talk about the accelerators and stuff like that. That's next issue coming through, but we don't do like the Power PC kind of stuff. And Amiga Future is very focused on that, which is really nice. But also, since we've come out, they've also like stepped up a bit because I think they were comfortable in the position they were in, and it's a bit of like competition always spurs on like creativity and stuff. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And I think there's a Amiga Passione as well, which is Italian magazine. There's K&A, which is a Polish one. And there's a few Amiga magazines around as well, which is pretty awesome. I think there was like 6 or 7 at one count. Yeah.
Sort of competition's always good. I mean, back in the day, I'd be quite happy to get, if I had the money, I'd get CU Amiga and Amiga format, in 1 month because they'd obviously be completely different, content, and then maybe some of the same games might have gotten reviewed, but even then you'd be interested to see what the contrasting opinions are. You'd obviously get the extra floppy disks, and you just I also really like sort of the hints and tips, like into like computing hints and tips and CU Amiga.
Dad would get Amiga Shopper, and then I would go with like the cooler ones, like CU or Power or something, but he'd be like utilities reading an Amiga Shopper.
I used to get the odd Amiga Shopper, because that side of the Amiga, even though I didn't dive into it personally a lot, it just fascinated me generally. And you'd always get a thing in Amiga format, wouldn't you? Saying, if you like these, when you're in like the main serious software section of Amiga format, there'd always be a thing saying, if you're interested in the serious stuff, we have a whole like magazine of that. So you end up picking it up every now and then. I think it was literally the Amiga format people that worked on Shopper, wasn't it, in their spare time or something?
Yeah.
It was mad. Yeah. So again, you've been going for a little bit now. I mean, obviously you had a lot of features, a lot of stories. Has there been one that you've really wanted to do that you haven't got around to, or is there one that has been that was like more difficult to get out there than perhaps you anticipated when you started working on it?
Yeah, it's you always come with like grand plans, and then it's tough getting people together and getting people to write. You know, if you've got multiple people from companies as well, and like we've all got our own jobs as well, so you know, balancing that and doing a magazine is quite tough. I'd say the funnest one, the one that I enjoyed most, was the issue that we did on snacks.
The cover was great on that.
Yeah, because we got to eat like those
right.
sides. It was like I was having penguins and Lucasade and like, 7-Up. It was great.
The benefits of working on Amiga Mag.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of like you say, everyone's got kind of a full-time job. I mean, how does that even work then? Do you just sort of come home from work, 9 till 5, whatever it is you do, and then you sort of spend it, one or two evenings working on the particular little niche section that you work on? How do you manage to find the time for that?
Yeah, so it's pretty tough because like we're all working and we just kind of find the time that we have, and like, you know, using Discord as well is a kind of lifesaver because we can chat at all different hours, and it's not got the pressure of using something like Messenger. You know, someone can put a message on Discord and you can look at it and you can go, oh, okay. And then you don't have to reply straight away or anything. But also, I get nagged a lot because I'm always late with my stuff. I've currently got some stuff I should be writing now, actually. But
right. Oh, thank you for taking the time to see us.
Well, we all know when the deadlines are, and you do have some enforcers and stuff and people that go around and tell it. But
some enforcers.
We also know it's like whips in Parliament, you know.
Oh,
I tell you what today.
Scary.
But yeah, that's why we have this staff structure of like editor and deputy editor and stuff like that.
I can just imagine, Ravi, someone going, where's your article on all the different Amiga 500 disk drives? That's what we want to know. Where is it?
Well, that's the thing, because I'm doing questions every single week for the podcast, which is like a massive amount of research and you know, looking up the guests, getting through old articles. I'm pretty good at writing stuff, but I always procrastinate until the last minute and then suddenly like spit out, you know, a few articles.
You finally managed to get your head down when the inspiration hits.
And now we're in the shops, of course. The print deadline is a lot harder and tougher because you know, we've got to actually get it all printed and then distributed.
Ravi, I was going to ask about that. Now, I heard you in W.H. Smith's, which is amazing, and that's you know, get Amiga magazines back into there. But no, I live in Beckenham, and there is quite a small W.H. Smith's, and I couldn't find it. So, are you only in the sort of the big ones, or
so I think we're in W.H. Smith's, Eason's as well, which is another store. I think that's in Northern Ireland, and then we're in Barnes and Noble as well. But with our distributors, Barnes and Noble in the US. But with our distributors, we're hitting, I think, 300 stores.
Right. Okay.
But that's like around the world. But yeah, sometimes, you know, they get bought up. Like I've got one in the city centre in Nottingham, and I spotted that they had the Amiga mags. They put them at the back, so I put them at the front dominantly, and then I went in the next day, and then there was 6 of them there, and then there was 1 issue left. So I was like, wow, okay, you know. So yeah, hopefully we will get a list of like every retailer, but also it's available to order at newsstands. So you can go to your newsagents or like local shop and say, hey, can you order this magazine in for me? And there's this big book that they have with all the magazines available. They can look it up, tick it off, order it, and actually have it coming in, especially for you, like old style, you know, when you get, you know, your copy of 2000 AD or whatever.
That's really cool. I mean, I did pop into my local WH Smith in Woolwich High Street. So yeah, southeast London. So just across from a bit further to the east from Stuart, and it was actually in there. So I was like, oh wow, it is here. So I guess we are one of the ones that are considered, you know, it is quite a big the WH Smith, the one in Woolwich High Street. So it was great to see. And I mean, what sort of feedback have you had since you've been in the stores? I mean, is there people now that perhaps I didn't even know the Amiga was still a thing? I couldn't believe I saw this magazine. How's that been?
it's a lot of people didn't believe us when we took the photos of it out in the store and actually on the shelves. People are like, "Have you just brought that in?" And like, put it there, like you're faking the photos. Yeah. Until they actually go into their local one and find it, and it's really tough actually. So getting in the stores, the idea was Jonah, our editor, and we said, Jonah, you're absolutely insane. This isn't going to happen. And he really pushed for it, and he was actually talking with Smiths and stuff. And I'd say we're breaking even on being in the store, so we're not making any profit from that. Like our main profit is from advertising in the magazine that we have, like people like CEX that have been amazingly supportive of us, Computer Exchange, and then the Amiga advertisers as well. And then we have our subscribers that are international. So they're really helping drive the magazine, where we're kind of being such a small magazine that doesn't have a printing facility like Future Publishing, doesn't have multiple magazines, so can't do it in bulk. We can't really maintain a competitive kind of a profit-making thing in the shops, but we can just be there because we want to be, and because we've got the kind of passion to be in there, and we're happy with breaking even on that, because an Amiga Mag's in the shops, it's like
have you found, Ravi, that people have sort of got in there and they looked at Edge is still in there, Retro Gamer, and then they've seen the Amiga magazine and gone, oh, well, that's a surprise, and just have been big fans of the Amiga, but just not heard of the magazine.
Yeah, I'd say we've got enough, about as many people buying. We just got the stats back, as many people buying the magazine as we have subscribing. So subscribers have gone out and probably search for this thing or found it online or something, and they've been the proper Amigans. But then you've got like walking past people that are going, oh, what's this, an Amiga mag, oh my god, and then buying that. And that's really awesome. And those are the kind of people we want to engage and get back into the hobby and stuff. Like, what, this is still going?
Yeah, I mean, you'll never get that with just being online only presence, will you? If they're there physically there to see.
Yeah, it takes someone to search Amiga magazine in Google and have that like dedication thing, rather than someone just walking by and going, "What? Wait a second," doing a double look and going, "Wow."
Kind of like the A500 Mini, I guess, in like your Asda or whatever. People just casually walking by. I mean, there's plenty of people that would be interested in, the Amiga that haven't necessarily kept up with the community and all that stuff in the subsequent, 30 years. They just had it when they were, they got the Batman pack, Christmas '89, had it until 1993, 94, then maybe got a Super Nintendo and didn't look back. Really,
like Asda and stuff. We would love to get into those places, but they're really based on like numbers and competitiveness and stuff, and that's really tough. So hopefully in a few years we will, but at the moment we're going to just be happy to be in a store for and try and stay on those shelves as long as possible.
Well, if you ever need to do if you're planning on doing like a Commodore 64 magazine, give me a shout. I was thinking about doing that myself a few years ago. I think I spoke to Stu about it. I was going to do one called Commodore Power.
Oh, nice.
Someone told me that, and there was a magazine that already had that name, which was quite disconcerting. But I made like a mock-up cover of RoboCop from the loading screen of RoboCop on the Commodore 64. So that would be a fun little. But it basically, it'd be great to have something that was similar to Commodore format. The sort of also legendary mag. But I guess as well, getting into the shops, it's not just about having more people see it. It's good for, it makes it more attractive to advertisers as well, doesn't it? You can then say, look, we're actually in retail stores as well, so you're gonna, there's more eyes on this than just people on the internet, sort of thing. I can imagine that has helped.
It's a bit of a buzzword, Amiga, at the moment. Like, it's weird. I was watching the new series of Stranger Things.
Yeah, I saw that.
In the intro, she's using an Amiga 1000, and they're not like just got it as a little thing in the background, that they've got the keyboard in there with the A keys and everything, and it's like, wow,
that's a whole conscious effort, to get that.
This is hitting like wider culture and stuff. So
it was
I've never seen an Amiga 1000
ago,
Ravi, have you ever seen an Amiga 1000 or ever used one? Or
I've seen many, yeah, but I've never actually used one. No. My first was a 2000, but yeah, that was a lot later on. Like, they're beautiful machines.
I didn't even know that there was one. I didn't even know there was one that exists. I was very ignorant of it. I think I've mentioned this book before that came with an issue of computer and video games. It was called The Complete History of Video Games.
Yeah, and
it came with like the Christmas '96 issue of computer and video games. This is when computer video games is in its kind of glory days in the late 90s. You got this brilliant book that came with that issue as like a Christmas present for the readers, and that's where I learned all about the history of computing and video games. From that, I was about 13, 14, I think, when I read it. And I obviously knew about the Amiga, and I had an Amiga at that point. I had my 500 still at that point. But I thought it started at like the 500, and obviously, I was already into computers and video games when the 1200 came out and things like that. I also read that book, and it got to like 1985. It was divided up into the years, because in 1996, the video games and computing wasn't that old. It was only really 20 years that had to be documented, which is kind of makes you feel old now. It sort of said actually in it, it's crazy that we're making this history because video games aren't actually that much older than a lot of the people that play them. You can't say that now. But yeah, I had the Amiga 1000. I was like, oh wow, there was an Amiga 1000. That's kind of weird. And then it was just sort of saying how they're kind of difficult to use these days because a lot of the money on 256K of RAM, and you had to sort of load Kickstart off a disc, and I was like, bloody hell, that'd be a pain.
Yeah, they had these huge sidecars that people would add on and stuff,
Yeah. I think the 8-bit guy's done some really interesting videos lately on the Amiga 1000. I don't know if you guys saw like the PC emulator and the Macintosh emulator. And
I've noticed like even, when I started YouTube, it was me and Dan Wood shouting about Amiga and no one watching. And now like all the channels are doing it, and it's awesome. It's great to see, it becoming like a wider subject for people to kind of get into. It's like, I also felt it got wrote out of computer history quite a lot. Like you'd watch these films and people would have like IBMs or Macs or something, and they wouldn't
because the
have
American
an Amiga
influence.
In it. Yeah. And then it's kind of getting put back into it, and a lot of people are actually saying this is really good. Like one thing we did was we got some coverage from The Guardian, and they were talking about like magazines and the kind of revival of it and stuff. And that was, they did an Amiga Mini review and all of this kind of stuff. And that's just awesome, that the fact that they're interested in it,
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's because a lot of the history, I mean, perhaps, kids and teenagers now, or even people in their sort of early 20s, really, that wouldn't really have any kind of wouldn't have been alive when the Amiga was in its heyday. Again, making us feel very old. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, they wouldn't really have any, if they're just watching YouTube and they're watching Angry Video Game Nerd and things like that, 8-bit guy, people, and anywhere that does kind of video game history that's from an American, the Amiga would just get a mention as some kind of this niche computer that had really good graphics that failed.
Even like old video game documentaries. I remember there'd be huge ones like Triumph of the Nerds was one years ago and stuff. Didn't it even like kind of mention Commodore?
Something did at all. It was
like,
Apple and Microsoft,
all the Bill Gates and the Steve Jobs kind of stories going on. Yeah. And Jack Hill was kind of left out of it all, really. And there was a bit of a focus on Atari, but it was kind of on the older arcadey stuff rather than
the ST
systems.
The ST doesn't really register there either. Like, it's funny because I was watching there's a channel I like called the Game Chasers, and let's go around. So Billy, one of the Game Chasers, he really loves the Atari ST, but it's such a niche thing, and no one really understands why he likes it. And he goes berserk when he sees like big box Atari ST games for sale. And because obviously that was just not as popular in America. It's probably the UK really was where it was most popular. I think in France.
I saw Adam Kurillik came over to the UK and I know stuff, and he was just running around like Amstrad, like buying everything Amstrad, and like everyone's like, oh, this is kind of common, and he was like, oh my god, the GS,
games on cassettes. That's like mind blowing. Yeah, so it's good to see. I mean, even like the documentaries that have come out, well, there's not really been any very recently, but in the sort of 2010s, there was a few kind of Amiga documentaries, but often they were made by Americans again. So they'd just be about how, there was this really lovely computer that came out that I was very passionate for, but no one else liked. And here's an hour of how it was famous for being the video toaster. And I'm watching, I was like, I wanted people to talk about, Lemmings and Sensible Soccer and stuff like that, and Deluxe Paint
and stuff like that.
Cracktros, yeah.
Well, that's it. In the UK, as we all know, the Amiga, like everyone, all my friends at school, we all had Amigas, and that was, the most common. To me, that was the biggest computer in the world, and surely everyone had one, and it's sort of so unheard of. And again, you hear people, they seem to go from the Commodore 64 or the Apple II to, okay, well, they got an IBM PC, and they played games which are all pink and blue,
and it's like stuff like the Acorn as well is not even mentioned in like wider culture, and and the ARM processor is used on everything nowadays. It's it's interesting how history kind of gets a bit changed over time, or who's directing what and stuff. And it's good to see it kind of entering culture again, and being on people's tongues. Yeah,
and like it's funny you see like I know it could be like Clint on LGR or the 8-bit guy, and they'd be like, I'm going to show you like Secret of Monkey Island 1 and how awesome it was. And he'd play like, this is how I used to play it. And it was like some awful EGA version on an IBM PC. I was like, God, that was the version you had to play. Or Lemmings. Like the 8-bit guy said, he showed like Lemmings on an IBM PC Junior, I think. It looked utter crap. I was like, God, the Amiga absolutely dumps on these things. But it was just handled better in the UK and Europe, I guess, marketed better. And like things like the Apple II barely registered over here because they were so expensive.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That video the other week that the RMC did, and everyone that came to the cave, he said to them, have you ever used an Apple II? Have you? What's your not? And everyone would go, well, no, not really.
Yeah.
And Trev, you've got one now, but you certainly didn't have one.
I've got two
30 years ago. You've got about 7 of them, haven't you?
Yeah. I've got two.
I went to the States like a couple of months ago, and it's just so noticeable how IBM just dominates, and Apple and kind of IBM to us is seen as like a kind of just an office machine, but because there was such a diversity here, where like IBM over there is like king, and basically, seeing all these apples, and they're like, why are you getting excited over an Apple II? And I'm like, it's amazing,
This just started the whole bloody thing. Pretty much
like opposite world.
It's like I've talked before about how growing up, like the three of us, I think it's probably safe to say we're obviously being all growing up on Amiga, and I'd see adverts for Silica systems, and they would have the Atari ST in there and things like that. But I never knew anybody that had one. So it's actually been really exciting for me as an adult to actually explore the Atari ST. I've got a few of them. They're really cheap compared to the Amiga. I've got like 4 Atari STs.
Nice.
You can pick them up for like £100. That's still okay. That's not cheap. But an Amiga 500, even now, that's like a couple £100 for one in good nick, right? Or even more so for a 1200. But yeah, that's kind of a similar thing where you're seeing how the other half lived, and actually seeing that it wasn't that bad. It's got the sounds it is a bit crap, and you can't get around that. But if I had that when I was a kid, I probably would have been perfectly happy. I wouldn't have been sort of thinking, God, I really need an Amiga 500. But I was fortunate enough to that's what I got. But now it's really fun to explore those sort of platforms that you didn't have when you were a kid, and you've got, you're going through your midlife crisis in your late 30s, and you've got disposable income, and you can just chuck all this stuff in the spare room and piss off your other half about it. That's what we do now.
I'm probably going to get lynched by saying this, but I really did like the angled keys on the Atari ST. I always thought they looked a bit nicer at the top. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, Stu?
Wow, I don't know. Which is such a big clunky machine, and yeah, the ones on the top, like the F1 to
big clunky machine.
It just looked cool. It just looked,
I think it looks better than the Amiga. I
think I saw some pictures going around the other day where someone had got a 1200 and sort of painted it the same color as an Atari ST and gave it lots of Atari branding, and it just looked odd. It looked really odd. But I have to admit, those keys were, sort of quite good looking.
We've done a few dedicated episodes on it, so for anyone that's sort of grew up with Amigas and kind of wants to know a bit more about it, we've sort of got some of the joysticks. So it's the really good Atari ST channel. Sorry, we've had him on before. Unfortunately, I don't think there's any scope for an Atari ST Addict because it kind of really it doesn't have the homebrew kind of scene or the sort of the second life almost life after death. You could almost say that the Amiga has. So there are some projects and like some sort of accelerator chips and things like that. I think
I guess if you got everything in there, if you did the 2600, you did the Jag.
I don't know, Ravi. Have you ever thought about doing a column for the Atari ST? No, just in the back somewhere, like right near the end. Don't give it too much space.
Oh my god!
Well, that's why we have
a page.
That's why we have Pixel Addict.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
We're gonna start, Ravi. We're gonna start Atari ST Addict. We're gonna make Stuart the editor. The first column, Stuart's first column. Just get an Amiga. They were a lot better.
Yeah.
It sounds rubbish. It's got nice keys, I suppose. It's got nice keys.
To be honest, I want one for DJing on because I DJ with Amigas. And there's a DJ program called STDJ. STJ.
Nice.
Yeah, and I really want to play with that. Yeah.
So someone says, "Oh, Ravi, what are you working on?" "Oh, just STD." So that might need a bit of extra explanation. It's just like TOS, isn't it, with the operating system? TOS.
Yeah.
Tossers. People that like.
I like the fact they had an operating system when you turned it on, but it was stored in the. I did like that.
On the ROM chip.
Yeah, that
was
handy.
Yeah,
that was quite impressive.
Like one thing we've tried to avoid is like we can go down the kind of Atari bashing route that the old mags did, and poking fun and stuff. But a lot of our readers now probably have both.
Yeah,
probably say so. Yeah.
So we try to rein that in. But
I mean, it was really
through.
Yeah, I mean, it was really what we could afford in those days. Well, we'd get with our parents, with people that were buying this stuff, they'd only ever buy us one, and if it was the Amiga, it was the Amiga. If it was the Atari,
it was your computer, so you had to kind of defend it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It was
yeah. I mean, now you don't have to worry about that. You can just pop on eBay, grab an ST for 60, 70, 80 quid. Get some floppies and even get a GoTech in it or whatever you want to do, and you can just play it without worrying now, and compare it to the Amiga on your own terms, and just enjoy computing basically in all its forms.
I think a lot of development's been going across as well. So like you said, the GoTechs benefited the Atari guys as well, and some accelerators are cross compatible as well. Yeah,
I mean, I've got in mine, I've got a GoTech, but there's actually quite a lot of homebrew games still coming out. I mean, there's a great recently I played a new version of Guiana Sisters that they made for the Atari STE, which has the Atari ST. It's got the Blitter chip in it. Nice. They've made an enhanced version of it because the original ST version didn't scroll at all. It sort of flip screened, which is kind of ridiculous.
So that game Dread that's been developed. There's an ST port of that, and there's even a Atari mode on the Vampire as well.
So you can literally plug in a Vampire now. Yeah.
Well, you can run TOS on it. I think RMC did a video where he was looking at the Vampire, and he had something like leaning on the key on the keyboard, and he was kind of like booting his Amiga, and he's like, "Why is it booting as an Atari every time?" And it was like you realised it was pressing this button, but it was built into the Vampire kind of Atari mode.
Yeah, someone's messing with me here.
But yeah, Dread, that's incredible. I mean, it's like a smooth, detailed FPS that's pretty damn close to Doom on a stock.
Yeah,
Atari ST or 500.
Stuff's helped the magazine a lot because I always said like Amiga needed the hardware before it could get the software. You know, it needed the cheap kind of speed, and it needed like stuff like the Pi Storms really helped because that's really cheap and accessible. And it's kind of always needed that before people can, you know, do stuff like it needed an engine as well, like the Scorpion engine's amazing. And having this kind of basis now means people can pump out these amazing titles, and like stuff we're seeing coming out on the Amiga is just nuts. Like, I can't believe it. That Dread and Metro Siege as well just looks insane.
Yeah, like ports of arcade games that we didn't get back in the day, or sometimes improved versions of those games.
MSX ports and Neo Geo and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. Well, just like one last thing before we wrap up and hit the hour here. Obviously, there was the old Amiga mags back in the day, like we already talked about Amiga Format / Shopper, CU Amiga, Amiga Power, the One Amiga, all those magazines. Have you had any feedback from the guys that worked on those?
So we've had a lot of people actually writing for them, writing special articles for us. So we've had ex-editors of the magazines come on, and the great thing is before they come on, obviously they check it out and they're like, you're doing a great job, this is amazing, and they're excited again to be writing. So we're thinking, you know, we might be able to get some of these editors or old columnists, guys like, you know, Tony Hogan and Nick Veach and like all these names that we all remember from the magazines, actually get them to write in the new Amiga Addict magazine, which is just really cool. And it must be amazing, you know, something that you did many, many years ago and you're getting contacted and like, oh, would you write for this? It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I achieved the dream back in the day. I got, I always go on about it. Stu gets annoyed when I do.
Oh, here we go. His letter.
I got my letter printed in Amiga format. I've got the issue. I've forgotten what issue it is.
His claim to fame.
Yeah, it's in there. It was like a featured letter. I don't think I've got anything for it, but yeah.
Like we've just got Andy Smith on the latest issue, and he's from Ace.
What did the letter say again, Trev?
Sorry, Stu.
What did the letter say again?
Oh, I said that I don't think people should put their Amiga in a tower because it stops being an Amiga when you do that, which is really dumb thing to say. And I was obviously told, no, that's stupid by the editor. But I was still proud as hell that I got it in there. I was 14, so you know, give me a break. Sorry, Ravi, you were saying that you've got some.
Yeah, we've just got Andy Smith recently in the latest issue, and that's from Ace, an Amiga format, and we're kind of trying to get, you know, some of the old writers in nearly every issue as well, which is pretty good. And also, it's like, they know how to write as well, so it's good to have them in. Yeah,
that's surreal. So, any plans to do Amiga Addict Shopper? That's what we want to know.
Amiga Addict Shopper. Well, I'm trying to do more utility stuff and get it a bit more focused on that. And I think we're actually looking at doing stuff about Woodworth and PageStream, and like it's really hard to be like, we're going to do one on the Office packages, you know what I mean? But we're going to try and do a like utility special and looking at all those kind of old pieces of software and the new ones. Yeah, I would love to do a shopper, but if you remember how big Amiga Shopper was,
it was mental.
It was like hundreds of pages, wasn't it?
You'd wipe out if you bought that and format in the same month. That's your entire month just eaten up with trying to plow your way through those mags.
Yeah,
it was incredible how they managed to produce those two magazines. You know, I think literally Shopper was in their spare time. They put that together. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's insane. Like I just remember it was really thin paper.
It was
like huge,
newsprint sort of styly, wasn't it? I think it was color at one point, but yeah, great forgotten Amiga magazine, Amiga Shopper. If anybody go on eBay, it tends to be one that people don't really buy, so it tends to be a bit cheaper than copies of Amiga format, which go insane these days. Insane prices. That's one that often is a bit cheaper, so pick it up if you're into the, you know.
I'm sitting here staring at a huge row of Amiga formats and shoppers and stuff, and
same here.
Like, it was basically Dan Wood chucked all his out a few years ago, and
all right,
and just came to my house. I cleared his boot of his car, filled up my shelf, and then he bought them all back on eBay as well again. So
he didn't come crawling back for them.
Yeah.
Wow, we've done well there because it's quite. I mean, I do try and pick up a few every now and then, but they are quite expensive. You're better off getting them in bundles, really, to save yourself some cash. But
yeah, totally.
Yeah, it can be very addictive getting those old mags. Anyway, so Ravi, in terms of Amiga Addict, where can you buy it online? What's the sort of best place to grab it?
So if you just type in Google Amiga magazine, we're pretty much the first result on there. If you go to amiga-addict.com, that is like our kind of main storefront as well, and you'll have all the a few sample articles if you haven't checked it out already, and you can order and subscribe, or you can go into your local news agents and order it from those guys, or go into W.H. Smith or any of the stores that I mentioned and actually pick it up off the shelf if it's there.
Cool. And how about yourself? What about your personal sort of podcasting and social accounts? Where can we find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, so I'm at the retrohour.com and at Retro Ravi on Twitter as well, and my YouTube is Ravi Abbott as well. And I'll be I'm going to do 2 DJ gigs soon as well. I've got one coming up in Germany at Amiga Germany for Set Patch Party. So they're hiring a nightclub after Amiga Germany, and we're going to have a full huge party there. So that's pretty awesome that the events are happening again, and people can come out and gather, because last Amiga Germany I went to, I'd say there was nearly 1,000 people, which is just insane, really.
It's mental. That's awesome. Wow. Cool. We'll look out for that. Check out Ravi on his socials, and obviously Amiga Addict as well. Stu, where can you find us?
You can find us on Twitter under Console Shock. You can find us on all of the podcast clients. Search Console Shock. So iTunes, Stitcher, on Spotify, and then also on Facebook, Console Shock, and YouTube if you search Console Shock. So on pretty much everything.
Brilliant. Cool. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Ravi. I'm sure we'll get you back on for another update when you finally manage to get into Asda and Morrison's.
Yeah, that'll be it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening, and we will catch you in the next one. Take care.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.